The air war over Ukraine has changed dramatically, not because of fighter jets or ballistic missiles, but because of something far smaller, cheaper, and far more numerous: drones. Night after night, waves of Shahed loitering munitions, Russian Lancet drones, and swarms of FPV quadcopters flood Ukrainian airspace. For more than 2 years, these low-cost aerial threats have relentlessly stretched Ukraine's air defenses to their limits. Then, a new system entered the battlefield, one designed specifically for this kind of war. When footage emerged of Ukrainian crews firing short bursts of 35mm rounds into the night, followed seconds later by drones exploding or falling from the sky, it became clear that Rheinmetall Skynex had arrived. Skynex matters because drone warfare has fundamentally shifted the balance of modern conflict. Ukraine now faces hundreds of cheap, expendable drones every week. Ukrainian Air Force data and independent analysis show that Russia regularly launches large-scale Shahed attacks, sometimes dozens in a single night, often mixed with cruise missiles and decoy drones. The key problem is economic. Intercepting a drone that costs a few $1,000s with a surface-to-air missile costing hundreds of thousands is unsustainable. NATO analysts, RAND, and the Royal United Services Institute have all warned that no country can afford to fight low-cost drone swarms with high-end missiles indefinitely. Skynex was built precisely to address this imbalance. Ukraine had already proven the value of gun-based air defense before Skynex arrived. Germany's Gepard self-propelled anti-aircraft guns, armed with twin 35mm cannons, quickly became some of the most effective systems against Shahed drones and cruise missiles. Ammunition contracts for Gepard were repeatedly expanded just to keep the guns operational. Skynex builds directly on that success. Rather than replacing the concept, Rheinmetall modernized it, retaining the same caliber while adding smarter ammunition, automation, and a fully networked command system suited to a battlefield dominated by drones, electronic warfare, and saturation attacks. Although Skynex was not originally designed for Ukraine, the war became its first real combat test. Rheinmetall announced in 2022 that an international customer had ordered 2 systems under a $182 million contract, with deliveries planned for 2024. Germany delivered the first Skynex batteries to Ukraine in 2023, followed by additional systems in 2024. By late 2025, Rheinmetall confirmed that 4 German-financed Skynex systems were operational in Ukraine. This was not symbolic support, it was a deliberate move to give Ukraine a defense system optimized for drone-heavy warfare. At its core, Skynex is a modular and automated air defense ecosystem. It functions through 3 main elements: sensors, command and control, and weapons. The weapon itself is the Oerlikon revolver gun Mk3, a 35mm automatic cannon capable of firing around 1,000 rounds per minute with an effective range of roughly 4 kilometers against aerial targets. What makes it lethal against drones is its ammunition. Skynex uses Ahead rounds, advanced hit efficiency and destruction. Each round is programmed just before firing to detonate at a precise point near the target, releasing a cloud of tungsten sub-projectiles. The drone does not need to be hit directly. Passing through that cloud is usually enough to destroy it. Ahead ammunition has existed for years in other Rheinmetall systems, but Skynex integrates it into a fully networked architecture. At the center is Skymaster, the battle management system. It fuses data from radar, electro-optical sensors, and thermal imagers, tracks multiple targets simultaneously, and automatically assigns the best weapon to engage each threat. Operators supervise the process and authorize fire, but the system handles tracking and prioritization at machine speed, essential when dozens of drones approach from multiple directions.
This distributed design also improves survivability. Guns, radars, and command units are physically separated and connected via secure links. If one component is destroyed, others can continue operating or receive data from the wider air defense network. Ukrainian imagery shows Skynex guns camouflaged and positioned away from their control units, making the system harder to neutralize with a single strike. Automation is one of Skynex's biggest advantages. Russia relies heavily on saturation tactics, launching large numbers of drones at different altitudes and along different routes, often mixed with decoys. Skynex does not tire or lose focus. Once engagement rules are set, it can track, prioritize, and engage targets continuously, allowing human crews to manage complex attacks without being overwhelmed. Cost is where Skynex truly shifts the balance. Ukrainian reporting indicates that destroying a drone with Skynex typically costs only a few $1,000s, around $4,000 to $5,000 per engagement, depending on ammunition use. Compared to missile intercepts costing hundreds of thousands of dollars, the economic logic is completely different. In practical terms, Skynex can neutralize multiple drones for the cost of a single missile shot. Battlefield footage supports these claims. Videos released by Ukraine's Ministry of Defense show short bursts of 35mm fire followed by drones exploding or crashing. Ukrainian commanders have emphasized that gun-based systems are particularly effective against Shahed drones, which are relatively slow, noisy, and predictable, ideal targets for airburst ammunition. European media outlets have also highlighted Skynex's role in protecting power infrastructure, logistics hubs, and command centers, easing pressure on Ukraine's limited missile stocks. Skynex is primarily used as a static defense system in Ukraine, but Rheinmetall designed it to support mobile configurations as well. Gun modules can be mounted on trucks and redeployed as threats change. These concepts feed into Rheinmetall's broader Sky Ranger family, including 30mm and 35mm turrets mounted on armored vehicles, such as the Boxer and Lynx KF-41. Several NATO countries, including Hungary, have already placed orders for related systems, showing that Skynex is part of a wider European air defense strategy. Germany's role is central. Since Chancellor Olaf Scholz's 2022 Zeitenwende announcement, Germany has massively expanded its defense industry. Rheinmetall has become a key supplier of ammunition, armored vehicles, and air defense systems. Skynex is one of the few systems Germany can produce at scale and export as European nations rebuild their short-range air defenses. Looking ahead, Rheinmetall plans to integrate directed energy weapons into the Skynex architecture. High-energy laser modules have already been demonstrated and could further reduce the cost per engagement by relying on electrical power rather than ammunition. While weather and power limitations remain, Skynex is designed from the start to accept such upgrades. Ultimately, Skynex addresses a core reality of modern warfare. Russia has dramatically expanded its production of cheap FPV and reconnaissance drones, some costing only a few $100s. Defending against them requires systems that can absorb repeated attacks without collapsing economically. Skynex provides that capability. Integrated into Ukraine's layered air defense alongside Patriot, Iris-T, NASAMS, and Gepard, it strengthens the lowest and most stressed layer of protection. The war in Ukraine has exposed a harsh truth. Cheap, mass-produced threats can overwhelm any most advanced defenses unless those defenses adapt. Skynex represents that adaptation. It's not just shooting down drones, it's responding to the new logic of warfare itself, where cost, sustainability, and scale matter as much as raw firepower. And in Ukraine's skies, that logic is already being tested every night.